Hello, welcome to my stamp studio. My name is Beth Maxwell. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in southeastern Wisconsin and the United States. Tonight I'm just coming through to do a quick little card. Recently someone asked me about making some quick sympathy or birthday cards. And so I thought I'd just jump on really quick and show you how you can make some quick cards without having to have a lot of supplies on hand. So let's get started. So the first thing that I want to do is actually grab some designer series paper. And the paper that I'm going to work with is called Forever Fern. It is in our Stampin' Up catalog. I will have some links below so you can get to my online store and my website so that you can see some of the product. But I really like this particular set of designer series paper just because there's so many different patterns in it, and I feel that the patterns that are in there can really be used for a sympathy card. So there's a lot of different ones. So I'm going to quickly show you a quick sympathy card, and the first thing I'm going to do is these are 12 by 12 sheets of paper, so we need to cut them down so we can make a smaller card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece I already had started cutting into, and I am going to pull my trimmer. Really important to have a good trimmer to cut your paper. And I'm going to just cut this down to be, let's see, let's make this about 3 inches. Yeah, we'll cut this down at 3 inches. So we're sliding it in the 12 by 12 side and going right to our 3-inch mark. And then taking our darker blade. So our darker blade is our cutting blade, and our lighter blade, hoping you can see that, is our scoring one. So I'm going to take the darker one and just scoot right down here, and now I've got a 3-inch strip. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is, I know that the height, and I'll show you how to cut this base in just a moment. I know this height is 5.5. So I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to cut this at 5.5, which is this line right here. And I'm actually going to do that twice so I can make 2 cards right away. If you're going to dig out everything to make a card, make 2. It makes your life easier. Alright, the next thing I need to do is I need to have a card base. So this is called a card base. And what you have to do is you take a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you're going to cut it in half. So I'm going to slide this in at the 11-inch length. And I'm going to go right to 5.5 here, and I'm going to use my dark blade again, and I'm going to just cut it. So now I have 2 pieces. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way, and I'm going to turn my cardstock and slide this into 4 1/4. This is 8.5 inches long, so half of 8.5 is going to be 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and score that. So using the lighter blade, you can score. And I'll go ahead and do that with the second piece right away, so that I have 2 card bases ready to go. Alright, so there we go. I'm going to score that. And that is it right now for the cutting. But this is a great trimmer to have. It has a scoring blade and a cutting blade. It has an extendable arm that comes out so you can measure longer pieces of paper. So I'm going to get to stamping because I wanted to make this quick for you. So I'm going to take my card base. I am going to fold it in half. I'm going to grab a bone folder or something to burnish my edge there because I want to have a nice crease in there so my card stays flat. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my designer series paper here, and I have the 2 pieces, so I'm going to go ahead and make both cards at the same time. Alright, and we have them just like that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere my designer series paper to my base. I'm going to take my liquid glue, or some people call it green glue, and I'm going to go ahead and put a thin bead of it along the edges here. And just make sure you have enough on there that it will stick. I like to make sure I get not real super close to the edges, but kind of close, so that when I lay this down, my edges are going to stay flat, but the glue doesn't gush out the sides. So there we go. All right. So our card is actually almost done. So let's go ahead and do this on the other piece. And you can almost hear me scribbling on there. That's so that I have a thin bead of glue. Because if you have too much glue, it's going to gush out all over. And I guess this is the side that we're going to use. And I want to turn it this way. And I'm just going to slide it over. Because I'm using that liquid glue, I have a little wiggle room so I can slide that cardstock over. And I'm just giving it a good rub so it's nice and flat. All right, so now I've got the two card bases. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a scrap piece of the crumb cake again, and I am going to take my punch. This is the Taylor Tag Punch, and I'm going to just punch out two pieces. And the reason I'm doing that is so I have a little bit of something to pop up my sentiment. So right here, you really can't see it, but it gives you a little bit of something more on the card. All right, so I'm going to have those right there. I'm not going to glue those down yet because I do want to get to my sentiments. So the next thing I'll do is I'm taking a piece of, just a scrap piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to slide these out of the way here. I am going to take a stamp set, and the set I'm going to actually use is, I'm going to use Forever Fern right now, and I'm going to stamp two of the leaf images. And I'm using coordinating ink for this. And the way that you can find out what your coordinating ink is with your designer paper when you purchase it from Stampin' Up, on the back of every 12 by 12 and every 6 by 6 paper, it tells you, it's kind of shiny, I can see that, it tells you the name of the designer series paper, but it tells you all the different colors that were used in these papers. So here I'm going to use Garden Green, and I'll use Shaded Spruce for my two colors. So right now, let's see, I'm going to start with the Garden Green. I'm going to take my clear block, and I'm going to take one of the leaf images here. I'm just going to put it right on my clear block. I'm going to open up my stamp pad. I'm going to ink this up, and I think this is still in the camera, so I'm just going to ink that up really good. And I'm going to stamp two of these. So 1 and 2. All right. Going off to the side here to clean off my stamp because I'm going to need this block again. All right. So I got my stamp cleaned. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I am going to cut these out. I'm going to fussy cut them. That's what we call it. And it's just a matter of using a little pair of snips here and just trimming around. You don't have to go exactly all the way in. You can make this really close to the stamp image if you want. I just find by going around though, it's much faster. I don't have to worry about those edges. It makes it a little easier. And when your piece is really long, just cut it out. So then I can go back and I can finish just going around the image. Again, I'm not trying to get real close. It doesn't have to be, because I just want to make this quickly. There's nothing worse than when your family member comes in and says, oh, I have a birthday party. Can you make me a birthday card? I have to leave in 10 minutes. Oh yeah, I'll get right on that. So this is a quick way to do one of those. Otherwise, unfortunately, we do need a lot of sympathy cards. You know, it's a part of life, and it's not something fun, but this is just a quick way to have some of those on hand. I like to make these card bases, and these kind of cards, I don't put my sentiments on there right away. I leave it off, but I always have a sentiment stamp set near me in my stamp room here so that I can quickly grab whatever kind of sentiment I need. So here we go. So I've got those done. I'm going to take I'm just going to add those on, kind of like that. So I didn't do it for the other card, but we'll just focus on the one for right now. The next thing I want to do is grab a sentiment. So right now, celebration is happening for Stampin' Up. So we do have an awesome set called Heal Your Heart. Now you can get this set for free when you spend $50 on my online store. And this set will come to you absolutely free. You have your choice of a wide variety of sets. If you don't have a demonstrator and you need a catalog or have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. So what I'm going to take in here is Sorry for Your Loss. And then I'm going to stamp the inside with Wishing I Could Heal Your Heart. I think that is just the most perfect thing to say because I never know what to say inside a sympathy card. So I like that this really says it for me. All right, so I've got these two already labeled and ready to go. I'm going to take a longer block now. I'm going to put my stamp right on my block, pick it up, and then I'm going to take a strip of scrap piece of white paper that I have. I always have lots of layers and scraps of paper. So this is a 1/2 inch piece of paper. Now I don't have to even use a second stamp pad. I can just continue with the same stamp pad I was using. So really this is very easy. You could also use black, whatever colors you have on hand. I tend to, when I pick out a designer series paper, I make sure I have the coordinating cardstock and at least one coordinating stamp ink pad so it matches. So when I'm stamping, I have something to match. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that right on there. If you're not sure that you're going to be able to stamp on a small strip, grab another scrap piece, take it, and let me make sure I'm in the camera here, and I'm just going to stamp it, and then I can just trim it straight across. All right, so let's clean that one off. All right, so for right now, since I have this one right here, I'm going to take this. Now my paper was much longer than my sentiment is, so I'm just going to take a pair of snips, and I'm just going to cut it right there, and there we go. All right, so I'm almost done with the front of my card now. If you don't have a lot of supplies, you don't have to do this next step that I'm about to do. I like to use Stampin Dimensionals. It gives your card some depth and just actually brings out and pops out some of the images that you've stamped. So I'm going to use the Dimensionals. By all means, if you don't have these, you don't have to put these on. You can just skip this part of it. So let me pull these out. Right. And all this is adhesive foam. So on the bottom side, it's sticky. On the top side, there's a little layer there. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and put these behind my sentiment piece. I probably, I'm going to change this around. I'm not going to put it behind my sentiment piece right there because, oh, let me get that off. There we go. I want to make sure that it's going to fit on this piece. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm putting my Dimensionals on the edges of this piece because I know that I am going to pull this off. Those are the little sticky layers. So now it's sticky, and I'm going to just take my sentiment and put it right across the top. There we go. I'm then going to take some adhesive and put this behind these leaf images that I cut out. And granted, this could easily be a birthday card as well, or a retirement card, or any sentiment. And I'm just going to slide this in. So I'm getting glue there, and I'm just sliding that right there. I'm going to take my other one, slide this in right there. All right. Then I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to add some liquid glue right back there. And I'm going to put this right on the front of my card. So now I've got my sentiment here. And on the inside, because this is a light card base, I don't have to have another piece of cardstock to put on the inside. I can stamp whatever I want right there. You can leave it blank and just write whatever you want. But again, because I can never think of the right thing to say, I'm going to use Wishing I Could Heal Your Heart. I think that's just a very good sentiment for this. So I'm going to go ahead and get that inked up, and then I am going to stamp it. There we go. And if I wanted to add just a little bit more in here, because maybe I really don't have anything else to say and I'm struggling for words, I'm just going to get a piece of scrap paper here. I'm going to actually flip this like this. Go back to my Forever Fern stamp set, and I'm gonna grab this one, I think. So this leaf here, and I'm gonna grab my block. So peel that off. I'm gonna put this right on my block. Oops, I should probably put it on the right way. There we go. I'm going to ink this up. Now, if I'm not sure that I had this inked up fully, I can stamp it off on my piece of scrap paper here. And no, I really didn't get that really inked up well. So I'm just going up and down, getting this nice and inked up. And I can see it's pretty inked. And now I can actually just take this and put it across the bottom or across the side. And I think I'm going to put it right here. There we go. Alright, and if I wanted, I could put a little bit on the top. Make sure, like I said, you have a piece of scrap paper behind you. And I could just put a little bit right here. There we go. It just adds something to the inside of your card. And now you're done. You just need your envelope, sign it, and here you go. So a nice, quick, and easy card for you to make. Again, all we used was a image stamp set. The reason I pulled out another sentiment set is because these sentiments weren't the ones I wanted to use on this card. So I picked up that one. I have a pack of designer series paper that allows me to pick all different patterns out. And I have a punch. So let me just show you those products again. Oh, if I can get that in there. Okay, I give up on that. So I've got designer series paper. I have one stamp pad. I have a punch. And you don't have to have this punch either. So I have a punch. I have an image and sentiment set. Some sets, like the Poppy Parade and things like that, there are some image sets that do have Sympathy in them, or some have birthday in them, so just whatever you need. And then I just have some neutral cardstock, and the cardstock I happen to use here was crumb cake. So I have a pack of crumb cake here, and then just some basic white cardstock. So these are the things that I use to make these cards. There's enough in here to make a lot of cards. So if you figure this was 3 inches by 5.5, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. From one piece of 12 by 12 paper. So from this one piece, you can make 8 cards and still have some left over. And then this pack here, if you get the full crumb cake, you can make 48 cards, or you can get the assorted cardstock, neutrals cardstock, which has the different grays and browns and blacks and stuff like that, so you have some different colors to use. I always suggest getting this assorted, especially if you're new to stamping. That way you have a variety of cardstock to use. So thanks for joining me tonight, and I hope this inspires you to create some cards. Again, you can easily just have your base ready to go, and whenever you need a sentiment, you can put it right on. Thank you.